Justin, who's actually doing the pitch. So hi, I'm Shalette. I represent the Portico and the Portico Cafe. The Portico is a community gathering space for conversation, connection, and community change. The social enterprise on the campus of the Portico is the Portico Cafe. The cafe is a cafe with a mission. And what we mean by that, we mean that every dollar you spend in the cafe goes towards our mission to give people who are on the brink of or have a previous history with homelessness an opportunity. We give them beds, we give them ladders to other opportunities. The baristas in our cafe have all been hired out of Ready to Work programs. So there are programs that many of you are familiar with. There's A. Brown Ministries, which is a prison ministry. There is Metropolitan Ministries, which is Metropolitan Ministries. They have a catering program. There is DACO, which is a drug rehab program here in Tampa. And all of our baristas outside of the management team have been hired out of these agencies because we believe in second chances at the Portico Cafe. These are people who society they've given up on them. Once you become an adult, you're an adult, and they've given up on them. So there are people who have lived under bridges for 4 years at a time because they had drug addictions. There are people who, sold drugs and were in and out of prison and finally made a difference in their lives and decided that they were going to make a change and not do that when they got out. There are people who just found themselves in crisis and had to call an agency and ask for help and got some help, and once all of those people came out of those situations, they needed an opportunity. So that's what the Portico Cafe is there to do, to give people an opportunity to earn a respectable wage, not necessarily a minimum wage that's going to basically put them back into that same cycle. So we want to give people a respectable wage, and by coming to our cafe and having a meeting, having a meal, taking a moment for yourself during the day within the walls of the Portico Cafe and on the campus of the Portico, you are essentially affecting community change, and you're giving us the opportunity to provide beds and ladders to our baristas. That's not that's my, I give a lot of tours. So that's not
That's good.
That was
Yeah.
2 minutes and 40 seconds, so that was good.
All right. Did I record? Okay, good. Because I don't know what I just said.
I got a couple of thoughts. Then, first of all, the last thing is the beds and ladders is, you said that once in the beginning, and you said that again. That's kind of an evocative, image.
It's what we've been told to say, but I don't think that if I just come out to you and say beds and ladders, what does that mean? So you really have to kind of paint the picture of what beds and ladders
I think
are.
I'm not saying it's I'm not saying it's bad. You see what I'm saying about negation? It's interesting and intriguing. I just don't know exactly what it means.
Yeah.
But it's at least it's interesting. I do want to know more. I would ask that as a follow-up. All right. In fact, I've got so many that I did leave this with all kinds of questions about what it is that I do get it. I got that there are people, and I wasn't sure who those people were. And now at the end, somehow I picked up drugs. So were these people that had drug problems? I wasn't sure.
They're homeless people.
Okay.
They're people who were homeless at some point in their life. They're people who lived on the street.
Okay.
So everyone was homeless, but I don't know if I don't like saying that because they're not homeless because they're working at the cafe right now. So we're the bridge between crisis, rehabilitation, and opportunity. We're that bridge. So we're that.
Just for an understanding though,
ladder.
so they had, at some point they had a history of homeless, but you hired them from one of these Ready to Work programs?
Yeah.
Whether or not they were homeless at the time, I mean.
Well, they weren't homeless because they were
Right, no, I know.
housed by
My
DACA.
point is you got them from the Ready to Work program rather than homeless just happens to be part of their.
Right, we didn't pull them off the street.
Okay.
Right, and that's because the thing is, we were trying to meet an unmet need. There are
Right.
plenty of agencies that are getting people in
Off the
crisis,
street,
right?
getting them ready to work, right?
But once they have gone through, like, you get 6 months at this place, you get so many days at the Salvation Army. Once you've gone through these programs or even just come out of that crisis, you still need an opportunity. You still,
Which I think is a huge differentiator
I
or
do
whatever,
too.
because that I missed in the.
Me too.
I sort of got, it was one more agency bringing people off the homeless.
That's
off
what
the
I
streets,
thought.
But doing a little further continuum, and what you're saying is, you know, there's plenty of people doing this, getting them ready to work, but there's nobody hiring the people who are ready to work.
right,
You have a niche. You have a niche market there where I loved your illustration of of a bridge where, and you don't, and it is painful. It's painful for all of us to talk about homelessness in our country. It is for me. And so to make me aware, but don't make me feel totally uncomfortable because I want to hear your story.
right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm listening, but I missed it totally too. And I want to hear about that they had already come, you had given them a home, they had shelter, and now you're getting them gainfully employed. Like,
Well,
hopefully.
they were an agency. So when you have
Okay.
shelter
They were
in an
off the
agency, you're going to be put out in the street.
Right,
Like if you've ever been in crisis,
right.
you know, and come out of that situation, you have to have somewhere to go whenever they say good luck to you, congratulations.
That's
It's
I
just-
think
So you're
the
providing
special
a support
sauce is the
system
bridge.
for
Yeah.
That you are the
after
bridge from.
Yeah, I like the bridge thing. a lot.
So, and because we're running out of time,
I know.
your value, I believe it should be aligned to that model we had with the reframe,
Yep,
right? Because you need to tell that story.
yep,
That you've got people that have need, and there are agencies and people willing to help, and they do it, and they do that because this is the way it's always been done. But you think that you can walk away, oh, and then they're out of this, and then everything is perfect. But guess what? They're not.
Right.
I mean, you need to tell that reframe, and because you need to set up the problem more. You have to set up stronger. I mean, you do have some. I don't know. This might be clever, but this is too clever. But in terms of a hook, I mean, since it's coffee, it's. And when I thought you were talking more about people that had drug problems, I thought it would be funny. Again, this is too cute, but to come out and say, without saying what you are, you'd say, I've got to sort of tell you about how a highly addictive drug can actually lead to incredible, benefit for individuals who may have had
success.
problems.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
if you were carrying a cup of coffee and he says, it's coffee. You were addicted. And then, but that's maybe too cute. But the idea of addiction might be very interesting because there's a dependency that when someone goes through an agency, you're creating a dependent relationship.
Yes.
And it's irresponsible to take that. You wouldn't take someone that you get hooked on. I mean, what if Starbucks decided to close all their doors and you got all these people going, I need my coffee. You get them all hooked up on this agency and you drop them off without any support.
Yeah.
We're that bridge.
Right.
We get that. And then, anyway, I don't know where that's going, but there's something there. The notes for you would be, you have to reframe this issue because people think this is being taken care of. I
Right.
don't understand what I need you if we've already got agencies. They're not homeless
Yeah.
anymore. They
Right.
were housed. They don't have drug problems because they've
That's
already been
not
out of
true.
that.
It's not true.
So
Yeah.
you need to reframe this and tell people that while we think yours is a perfect example of that, you're doing this or we're doing this as a society and a community with public and private money, thinking that everything is all and well, but actually it's not. And that there's a great need, and if we keep doing this, we could be actually making the problem, or I don't know if we're making it worse. But anyway,
Yep.
you do need that because it didn't come through that's what.
It's a lot. The thing is, like, it's a lot.
But you know what, I
Yeah.
can see why your tour, is that your, what you take for a tour, you said, or you
So,
use all that description, the story of your, of
Right.
what you do?
so I do tours. I do the events at the Portico. So
Okay.
when I'm doing tours, I'm trying to book people to use our space.
Okay.
Which is very nice.
So that's this, yeah.
But you're on a different playing field for, like Randy said, for this. So you can take all that knowledge and all your experience, because you'll be able to answer any question, I can tell. from the judges.
Right, not me.
Well,
But yes,
Yes.
maybe.
Do we have to
no,
move
you
on?
will.
Yeah.
Yes, and.
But
Yeah.
you do need to make
Yes,
that
and.
clear that you have this niche service you provide. You're a catch-all
Mhm.
for people, some people that fall through the cracks, so to speak. They
I
can't
think,
get,
yeah,
yeah,
you can tell your story simply.
yeah.
It's really,
Yeah.
now that I get it, we get it, it's not that complicated. So the next person needs to come up.
That should be a good help too.
But as the next
Think
person
it
comes
is.
up, the other thing is you can play with the whole beds and ladders. If you're gonna lean,
Yeah.
I would say avoid the corporate or the
Yeah.
mission statement stuff, but if you wanna lean into it, then lean into it.
Okay.
And say, can anybody think of how beds and ladders are connected and don't say bunk bed?
Oh, that's funny. I
Someone
like
start
that.
thinking about
Yeah.
that, and then weave that, make that part of it. But you
So
need,
smart.
you need, obviously marketing.
I like
But,
that.
um,
Yeah,
you-
okay.
Do you connect them with other